Greetings, everybody. Richard Fulmer here, and welcome to another Richard's Rock Rambles. So we're carrying on looking at our 40-year-old albums here in 2023. Another two today. One a solo artist, the other one a band. We're going to start off with a solo artist who should be known to most of you guys out there as the leader of Led Zeppelin. Yes, we're talking about Robert Plant. And we're going to chat about his second solo album, The Principle of Moments, which came out in 1983. And that's the album over there. His first solo album, Pictures at 11, still had a lot of that Zeppelin sound. But from this album onwards, you could see he was changing. There was a lot more, it was the 80s, so it was a lot more electronic. The drum sound was changing. But he's a guy who was never scared to try new things. And definitely with this album was where he started to really change things up. There were a few notable hits off the album, namely Big Log. That was the big hit of this album. It's actually the last track on side 2 here. And the other one was In the Mood. Quite a cool sort of mid-tempo song. Nothing overly heavy on here. I don't think he would get heavy again until much later on albums like Mighty Rearranger and Manic Nirvana, where he roped in a few of his old buddies from Zeppelin and started to get that more Zepp sound, especially in the drum sound. So what are the other tracks on here? It starts off with Other Arms, In the Mood, the one I just mentioned, the hit off the album, Messing with the Mekon, Reckless Love, that's on side 1. Then on side 2, Through with a Two-Step, which is quite a cool sort of quirky song. Horizontal Departure, Stranger Here, then Over There, and finishing off with Big Log. Not the most fantastic cover in the world, a bit bland for my liking. There's old Robert there with his short hair as opposed to his flowing locks of the Led Zeppelin days. And that's the back cover, sort of an arty kind of feel to it. Album did relatively well. I think he was still getting himself established as a solo artist. So if we look at the inside sleeve, there's the other guys in the band who I'll mention in a minute. So on guitars, you've got Robbie Blunt, really nice guitarist. Keyboards, Jez Woodruff. That name might ring a bell. I think he actually played on a couple of the Black Sabbath albums. I think he may have even been on... was he on Technical Ecstasy or maybe Never Say Die? I'm not quite sure. Maybe that was Don Airey. On bass, a guy called Paul Martinez. And here it gets interesting. On drums, Phil Collins from Genesis and, of course, his solo career. And Barrymore Barlow on drums as well. And Barrymore Barlow was for many years the drummer for Jethro Tull. One of my all-time favorite drummers. Really great drummer. Backing vocals, John David and Ray Martinez. And then here in the thank yous, he says, support above and beyond the call of the duty department, Jason Bonham, of course, the son of his old buddy John Bonham from Led Zeppelin. So that's all there is there. And these photographs are very small, so I'm not so going to see what's what. That's Robbie Blunt at the top there. And that's Jez Woodruff. There's Paul Martinez. There's Phil Collins, and there's Barrymore Barlow. Great drummer. If you ever want to hear Barrymore Barlow at his peak, just check out Jethro Tull's Live Bursting Out, their live album. Great drum solo on there. So that's the first one we're going to chat about from 1983, Robert Plant's Principle of Moments. Like I say, it's not my favorite of his solo albums, but it's him trying to find his feet. Pictures at 11 was still very much in the Zeppelin mold, and here he's trying new things, which is what I like about an artist. You don't normally stick to the same. The next album I want to chat about is in rock, you sometimes get really weird combinations, and you think, how the hell is that going to work? This is probably at the top of that pile. I mean, nobody saw this one coming, and the way it came about apparently was quite funny. So the story goes: Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Ian Gillan were in a pub one night, got horribly trashed, Next morning, Ian Gillan's manager phones him up and says, dude, I wish you'd let me know before you go and make these major decisions. So he said, what? What did I do? So he says, you've just joined Black Sabbath. So yes, we're talking about Black Sabbath's controversial album in some ways, Born Again. Controversial in that you've got this mix-up of a guy from Deep Purple, an iconic band, joining another iconic band, Black Sabbath. And how's that going to work out? Is it going to be called Black Purple or Deep Sabbath, or and how are the fans going to take to it? Well, unfortunately, it didn't last very long. I think they did a short tour after the album with really weird stage sets, and a lot of Spinal Tap's movie got the ideas from Black Sabbath's album and the resulting tour. So that's the album cover. Now, you can understand why that caused some controversy. There's a baby made up to look like a little devil. Not the best cover they've ever done, in my humble opinion. But, Black Sabbath, it was the 80s. And that's that sort of negative photograph at the back, which I'm also not a great fan of. So this is the remastered one. It still sounds terrible. It sounded awful on the album, on the vinyl. Very muddy sound. Can hardly hear Bill Ward's drums. Bill Ward was still part of the band at this stage. He would leave soon after with health issues and what have you. But yeah, very bad recording. So I'm waiting for them to really do a good job on this. It'll be worth getting, because this is a seriously heavy album though. Some of the Naomi riffs on here are just brutal. Yes, hello. This is Maya the cat just saying good morning. There she is. So that's a shot of the band on the inside there. There's a very wild-looking Ian Gillan. There's Tony Iommi looking quite mean and menacing. There's Bill Ward, and there's Geezer Butler. Yes, I'm doing a video. Do you mind? So Geezer Butler, bass and bass effects. Bill Ward, drums and percussion. Ian Gillan, vocals. Tony Iommi, guitars, guitar effects, and flute, which I didn't know he played. Oh, and here comes the dog because the cat's here. No, don't start a fight. Go on. So let's see if I can show you anything inside. There's another cool shot of the guys. So I said Bill Ward left soon after. So that's Bev Bevan there on drums. Bev Bevan, of course, from ELO. And he would go on to be on the tour part of things. And there they are on stage. I think they even did Smoke on the Water on some of their concerts. And I think this was that very evening where they got trashed. You can see Geezer Butler looks like he's had a few there. There's Ian Gillan in full cry. His voice on this album is so potent. I mean, I don't think he ever screamed as loudly as he did with this one. There's the Stonehenge kind of stage setup, which didn't really work. It was just too big. There's all the lyrics. If you can read that, it looks like hieroglyphics to me. And that's probably a poster for the tour. So, the songs on here, Trashed, that's the first one. Excuse me. Really, really heavy. Like I said, Iommi's, he's the riff master, and you could see why on this album. Then it goes into Stonehenge, which is kind of like an instrumental, brooding intro kind of thing, which then goes into a song called Disturbing the Priest, with some of the greatest lyrics you've ever heard. And Ian Gillan just screeches. I mean, it's hectic stuff. Then it goes into another sort of like moody instrumental piece into the heaviest track on this album. And it's just doom-laden Sabbath brilliance. It's called Zero the Hero, with a repeating riff on that track, which is just pure Tony Iommi. And the bass work of Geezer Butler is amazing. That's why I wish they would just give this a really good, proper remaster, remix. Give it to somebody like Steven Wilson. Let him fix it up. Because it could be so much better if it had a better production. Then it goes into Digital Bitch, Born Again, the title track. Really cool track. Hotline, and Keep It Warm. And I think the other guy who played on this album was Jeff Nichols, the keyboardist, although I don't see his name mentioned here. I'm pretty sure he did some of the keyboard work. He was always in the background with Sabbath, sort of behind the curtain kind of thing. I don't see his name here, but I'm pretty sure that he he was part of the setup. See if I can see anything here. Nah, it doesn't say. Anyway, this, as I said, this wouldn't last long, this little mix-up, marriage, if you like. And then, of course, Ian Gillan would go back to being part of Deep Purple, and Sabbath would just carry on with a succession of singers, Glenn Hughes, Tony Martin. And, you know, for Ian Gillan to take over at this stage was quite difficult because Ronnie James Dio just left after doing 2 amazing albums. And I think the fans were not really ready for this. This was just a step too far in the weirdness category. But it's an album worth checking out. And as I say, if they really fix this up, it'll be such a cool album. I mean, I often reach for this, but it's just the production sucks on this album. There we go. Robert Plant, Principle of Moments, and Black Sabbath's Born Again. Another 2 of our 40-year-olds. We'll carry on having a look at a few more, and then we'll jump onto something else. Please, if you've missed out on any of the previous videos, check on videos and cherry pick whichever you want to watch. Have yourselves a great week. If you haven't yet, please down below, subscribe, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whichever takes your fancy. And any comments, more than welcome. It's a really cool day here. I've already taken the dog for a walk, so I've done my duty. And I'm just going to relax. Have a good one, guys, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.